Hey singers, I wanted to talk today about something that seems super random and it's likely not something you've given much thought to in regards to what could be affecting your voice. Now, the information in this video might seem obvious to some, but it's actually crazy when I talk about this topic to most people how little it's considered to be a factor, not just in their vocal health, but their overall health. Okay, so if you're a singer who suffers from chronic tension or pain in your jaw, neck, shoulder muscles, if you suffer from bad performance anxiety, no matter what you've tried mentally and physically to counter it, if you get sick often, it prevents you from performing or relying on your voice, if you get headaches all the time, these are just some of the many symptoms of what I'm going to be talking about today. You'll probably never guess what it is. I'm talking about food sensitivities. I recently went and got a test done from a naturopath back in Ontario. It was a super awesome clinic. They are very nice and professional, and the test is ordered from Life Labs, which is the main provider for lab services in Canada. Now, this is not a food allergy test, it's an intolerance or sensitivity test. And the difference is that an allergy could instantly have an effect if you eat the food. You could go into anaphylactic shock, it could kill you, it's life threatening. An intolerance isn't, it's just something your body cannot really digest or work well with. So I was having chronic pain and tension for years in my upper body, and I was regularly going to my speech language pathologist, massage therapist, chiropractor, family doctor, osteopath. I was taking supplements, using orthotics, doing special exercises, and it just felt like everything was just treating symptoms, and I couldn't figure out what was causing everything. I was even seeing a therapist and doing some intense inner and spiritual work to figure out if it was connected to past trauma. And things I were doing were improving things, but nothing was like actually fixing it. And I knew something was missing. Side note, of all of these professionals that I saw, not one of them asked me, "What are you eating? How are you feeding your body?" It seems so overlooked in our culture. It's like the last thing we think of. My boyfriend actually was the one who suggested I try adjusting what I'm eating. And I never really thought of that. And I didn't want to take that advice at first because I don't want to be dieting or restricting myself. I like eating what I feel like intuitively I should be eating. And we will talk in a second about why my cravings were actually sabotaging me. But, anyways, I was desperate. So, the first thing I did was cut out dairy and I started to feel a little better. And then I cut out gluten, and I was doing that for about 4 months or so. And then I decided to get a test done because I didn't want to keep guessing and figured it would take a long time. So, fast forward to me going to a naturopath. That's where I went. But I believe any doctor can request this test for you. You have to get blood drawn, and then they expose the sample with extracts of a bunch of different meats, vegetables, fruits, nuts, grains, seeds, and they see the immune response. They do this by measuring the antibodies the sample produces against each thing. So, what I find the most interesting about this is that based on that information, there's no like safe, healthy food that's perfect for everyone. Everyone's body is different and how it handles food is different. So, how can you know how to properly fuel your own body unless you can do a test like this and see what it needs and what's hurting it? Okay, so this is what a test looks like. You can see it color codes results in green, yellow, or red for normal, borderline, and elevated. What my naturopath pointed out to me that can be confusing is that what's considered red zone or elevated is based on a statistical analysis of a Canadian population, whatever that means. So you don't have to freak out about the red bars. It doesn't necessarily mean it's bad for you in general. I guess it just means it's worse for you than for the average person or something. He said, I really just need to look at the numbers and worry about things hitting 100 or more. And if they are between like 50 to 90, that I should be cautious about them and avoid them, but it's not as detrimental. For example, my test shows the far end of the red bar for beef, but the number is only like 25. So it's not that bad for me. Doing this test, I was excited to see that, yes, I was right about the dairy, but that I can actually have A2 dairy like goat and sheep. So it tests things like fish and seafood, milk, meat, eggs, mushrooms, vegetables, fruits, spices and herbs, seeds, legumes, and nuts, grains, miscellaneous. But the one thing I want to point out is the candida. So this is a yeast that's found naturally in your gut. But if you're doing things like taking too many antibiotics or eating too much sugar, which was definitely my problem, it can overgrow. What's creepy is that it makes you crave things that feed it. And I was eating chocolate and pickles every day because I crave them. So, like, I couldn't trust my own body to tell me what it needed. And that, along with me every single day eating foods that I was intolerant to without knowing, like honey and eggs, which are super bad for me, peanuts, almonds, and of course, gluten and dairy. It meant that my body was in a constant state of reactive inflammation, and that inflammation carried over into everything. My whole body was inflamed all the time. So the internet says eating foods you are intolerant to constantly can cause chronic digestive distress, nutrient deficiencies, fatigue, and inflammation. They can significantly lower your long-term health and quality of life. So key risks of constant exposure, things like chronic bloating, gas, stomach cramping, diarrhea, constipation, nutrient malabsorption by impairing the body's ability to absorb essential vitamins and minerals. Speaking of nutrient absorption, I've been doing this for about since March 19th. I got the test done. Um, and I've already noticed such a huge difference, including my nails have been growing. I haven't been able to grow my nails like ever in my life. They always split and crack and break after they leave my fingertips, and they are just growing like crazy. So that's a clear sign that I'm actually absorbing nutrients now that I was not getting before. And it also makes me question, how long has this been a problem for? Systemic inflammation, which often manifests as chronic fatigue, brain fog, joint discomfort, or skin flare-ups, generalized aches, muscle stiffness, and weakness. This inflammation can affect any part of your body, including your brain, and can show up as psychiatric or behavioral issues, mood disorders, or foggy brain. Inflammation from trigger foods disrupts restorative sleep and prolongs post-exercise muscle soreness. In some cases, specific sensitivities can cause an inflammatory condition affecting the muscles called myopathy. I mean, it makes sense that what you use to fuel your body affects everything. It's like putting regular gas in a diesel car. The gas itself is fine and generally works for most cars, but not for yours. It's the wrong fuel and the machinery won't operate properly. It's crazy how overlooked it is too. Like, why isn't the first response when someone is having a chronic issue, like, hey, maybe it's the fuel that your body is using every day. Maybe the fuel is bad for you. Anyways, I hope this was helpful. And if you have more questions about this process or my experience, or want to share your own journey with me, I would love to talk more about this. Thanks for watching.